The power of self-definition is one of the most important principles that determine how far a person can go in life. Every individual carries within them an identity waiting to be revealed, but most never discover it because they allow the world to define who they are. The truth is, people will always treat you according to how you see yourself. If you view yourself as ordinary, they will handle you as common. But when you rise to declare who you are, based on the value and purpose planted inside you, people will begin to respond differently. The world does not respond to weakness or confusion. It responds to confidence rooted in clarity. When you take time to define yourself, you are sending a signal to the universe about what belongs to you and what doesn't. Self-definition is not arrogance, it is alignment with truth. It is understanding that you are not a mistake, that you carry something valuable, and that you were created to fulfill a purpose no one else can replace. Many people drift through life without direction because they let society write their story. They take on labels given by family, friends, or failure. Yet destiny only begins when you decide to reclaim your definition. You must ask yourself, who am I beyond my past, beyond my job, beyond what people think? The answer to that question determines the quality of your relationships, your confidence, and your destiny. When you know your worth, you stop begging for recognition. You no longer depend on compliments to feel complete, because your value comes from within. That inner certainty becomes visible in your voice, your posture, and your decisions. People start to sense something different about you. Not pride, but power. Self-definition is the foundation of influence. No one follows a person who doesn't know where they stand. When you define your principles, you become predictable in your integrity, and that creates trust. The reason so many never rise to significance is that they keep adjusting their identity to please the crowd. But the world honors those who know who they are even when misunderstood. The great leaders, visionaries, and change makers of history all had one thing in common. They defined themselves before the world tried to. They knew their purpose, they understood their gift, and they refused to be limited by opinions. Defining yourself means setting boundaries on what you will and will not tolerate. It means refusing to be reduced to someone else's version of you. It means walking away from places that no longer feed your growth. When you do that, people begin to handle you with new respect. They see your confidence, your focus, your peace, and they respond to it. You teach the world how to treat you by how you treat yourself. So once you define your worth, never apologize for it, because that single decision will transform the way everyone sees you forever. Purpose over popularity is one of the greatest lessons a person can learn if they want to live a meaningful life. Many people waste years trying to be liked, accepted, and approved by others, but popularity is temporary and fragile. It fades the moment you stop pleasing the crowd. Purpose, on the other hand, is eternal. It outlives applause. It gives direction even when no one is watching. When you live for purpose, your life stops revolving around opinions and begins to align with principles. You no longer measure success by how many people notice you, but by how faithfully you serve the reason you exist. Purpose gives strength to stand alone, while popularity makes you a slave to acceptance. Once you discover what you were born to do, your priorities shift, your conversations change, and your energy is no longer wasted on trying to impress anyone. The pursuit of popularity often leads to compromise. People who crave attention tend to betray their own values just to maintain approval. They become performers instead of leaders, echoing what others want to hear instead of speaking truth. But when you live by purpose, you find freedom. You no longer need validation because your actions are guided by conviction, not reaction. Purpose gives you courage to do what is right even when it's not applauded. It builds a kind of quiet confidence that says, I would rather be respected for truth than loved for pretense. This is the difference between temporary admiration and lasting impact. The moment you choose purpose, people begin to see you differently. They may not understand you at first. They might even resist you because purpose challenges comfort zones. But eventually, they will recognize your consistency and integrity. Purposeful people are not easily influenced. They are steady in storms and calm under pressure because they are anchored in something deeper than approval. Their decisions are not controlled by trends or gossip. They move with vision, not emotion. And this unshakable focus makes others see them as dependable, disciplined, and strong. Purpose also defines your circle. When you live for popularity, your relationships are shallow, built on convenience, not connection. But when you live with purpose, you attract people who share your values, who challenge you to grow, who respect your mission. You stop begging for company and start building legacy. People begin to respect your time, your energy, and your silence. They realize you are not living for applause, but for assignment. There is something magnetic about a person living in purpose. They don't chase attention. Attention finds them. They don't try to be seen. Their excellence speaks for them. When you commit to purpose over popularity, you separate yourself from the noise and rise above the crowd. And once that happens, people will never look at you the same again. Because they will see not just a person, but a calling fulfilled through clarity and conviction. The law of value is one of the most powerful truths in life. You are not rewarded for the time you spend, but for the value you bring. Many people confuse activity with productivity. They stay busy without becoming better, but the world does not pay for effort alone. It pays for results, excellence, and contribution. The difference between the ordinary and the exceptional is not luck. It is the level of value they offer. Every great person you admire discovered this principle early. The moment you decide to increase your value, your life begins to change. You start to attract opportunities, respect, and influence because people are naturally drawn to those who make a difference. Value begins with self-investment. You cannot give what you do not have. If you want to become valuable, you must keep growing. Learn more than others expect, serve beyond what is required, and give without calculating immediate return. Growth is not a one-time event. It is a lifelong commitment. The more you develop your character, skills, and mindset, the more valuable you become in every environment. Whether in your family, workplace, or community, your worth increases as you improve your ability to solve problems and bring peace, wisdom, or creativity. The law of value says that the moment you stop learning, you stop leading. People who never invest in themselves soon become irrelevant in a changing world. When you understand value, you stop competing with others. You realize that real success is not about comparison, but contribution. Instead of asking, "How can I be better than them?" you begin to ask, "How can I serve them better?" That question transforms everything. It moves you from chasing attention to building significance. And when your focus shifts from being noticed to being needed, people start to see you as essential. You become the kind of person others depend on, not because of charm, but because of consistency and quality. Value also determines respect. People may like you for your personality, but they respect you for your value. The one who brings solutions is always treated differently from the one who brings complaints. When you raise your standard, people raise theirs around you. They approach you with honor because they recognize that yet your presence improves the environment. That is the silent power of value. It changes how people see and treat you without you saying a word. If you ever want to transform how others perceive you, stop demanding recognition and start developing excellence. Let your work speak for you. Let your discipline announce you. The more value you give, the less you will need to chase opportunities. They will chase you. So refine your gift, nurture your wisdom, and commit to growth daily. Because when you become a person of value, the world will never see you the same again. The courage to set boundaries is one of the greatest expressions of self-respect and maturity. Without boundaries, you invite confusion, exhaustion, and disrespect into your life. People cannot value what you do not protect. When you say yes to everything, you are silently teaching others that your time, energy, and peace are available for misuse. Boundaries are not walls of pride, they are gates of wisdom. They help you preserve your strength for what truly matters. Setting boundaries means understanding that you are responsible for your life, and no one has the right to drain what you are trying to build. The moment you choose to protect your peace, people will begin to see you differently. Many fear setting boundaries because they think it will make them look selfish. But the truth is, it makes you healthy. You cannot pour from an empty cup. You cannot inspire others if you are constantly depleted. Boundaries are a sign that you have learned the value of balance, the discipline of saying no when your spirit says no. Every no you say to distractions is a yes to purpose. Every line you draw is an act of clarity that teaches others how to treat you. When you stop allowing disrespect, manipulation, or guilt to dictate your decisions, you reclaim your power. People may resist at first because they were comfortable with the old you, the one who always gave in, who always tried to please. But once they realize you are serious about your peace, they will begin to respect you, even if they do not say it aloud. Boundaries also reveal character. Those who truly love and value you will honor your limits. Those who don't will accuse you of changing. But growth always looks like distance to those who refuse to grow with you. You are not responsible for everyone's comfort, but you are responsible for your own well-being. The courage to set boundaries separates leaders from followers, visionaries from wanderers. It takes strength to say, "This is not okay," or "I am not available for that." It requires wisdom to step back from chaos so that you can focus on peace. When you set boundaries, you gain back control of your time, focus, and emotions. You begin to live intentionally instead of reactively. People start to see you as someone who respects themselves, someone who knows what they want and where they are going. They handle you differently because you no longer operate from desperation, but from dignity. And that single decision to protect your space can transform your entire life. So never apologize for setting boundaries. The people meant for your journey will understand them, and the ones who don't were never meant to stay. Protect your peace, honor your values, and guard your energy. Because once you do, people will never see you the same again. Transformation through discipline is the bridge between potential and purpose. Everyone desires change, but few are willing to commit to the process that produces it. Discipline is not punishment, it is training. It is the consistent decision to do what must be done even when you don't feel like it. Without discipline, dreams remain fantasies. Without structure, inspiration fades into frustration. Real transformation happens not through one big decision, but through thousands of small, consistent actions made daily. Discipline is what turns good intentions into visible progress. It shapes character, builds trust, and establishes strength that emotion alone can never sustain. The truth is, most people are waiting to feel motivated before they take action, but those who grow understand that motivation follows movement. The disciplined do not wait for perfect conditions, they create them. They wake up early when others sleep. They stay focused when others drift, and they keep promises to themselves even when no one is watching. That quiet consistency separates achievers from dreamers. Every act of discipline reinforces your identity. It tells your mind that you are serious, that you are committed, and that you can be trusted. Each time you choose principle over pleasure, you strengthen your foundation and earn respect, both from yourself and from others. Transformation requires sacrifice. You must let go of who you were to become who you are meant to be. Discipline asks you to say no to short-term comfort so you can gain long-term growth. It demands you to stay on course when distractions whisper that it's okay to quit. But what most people don't realize is that discipline eventually becomes freedom. It frees you from chaos, inconsistency, and regret. It gives you the ability to control your habits instead of being controlled by them. The disciplined person may not always feel happy, but they always feel fulfilled because they know they are moving closer to their true potential every day. When you live with discipline, people will begin to see you differently. They will notice your consistency, your focus, and your calm under pressure. They may not say it, but they will respect you. Discipline gives you authority because it proves mastery over emotions, time, and choices. In a world full of excuses, the disciplined stand out as examples of integrity. You teach others not by your words, but by your routine, by your ability to keep going when it's hard. So, if you truly want to transform your life, don't pray only for inspiration. Pray for discipline. It is the seed of every achievement, the foundation of every strong leader, and the secret behind every lasting success. Discipline is the difference between wishing for change and becoming the change. Once you master it, people will no longer see you as ordinary. They will see you as unstoppable. Silence and self-control are two of the most underestimated powers a person can possess. In a world that glorifies reaction, where everyone rushes to speak, argue, and prove a point, the ability to stay calm and quiet is a rare strength. Silence is not weakness, it is wisdom in motion. Self-control is not suppression, it is mastery of self. Together, they create a powerful presence that demands respect without a single word. When you learn to control your emotions and respond with thought instead of impulse, you elevate yourself above the noise. People begin to see you as someone grounded, composed, and unshakable, qualities that are admired in every field of life. There is a time to speak and a time to stay silent. The disciplined soul understands the difference. Silence gives you space to listen, to observe, and to think before you act. It allows truth to reveal itself without your interference. When you remain calm in conflict, you expose the chaos in others. When you stay quiet in anger, you protect your dignity. Many relationships, opportunities, and reputations have been destroyed not by actions, but by words spoken in haste. Self-control shields you from regret. It teaches you that not every battle deserves your response, and not every opinion deserves your energy. Self-control is the art of governing your emotions, words, and reactions. It is not about denying your feelings, it is about directing them with purpose. You may feel anger, disappointment, or frustration, but when you choose to respond from wisdom rather than emotion, you demonstrate maturity. Power is not in shouting louder, but in thinking clearer. The calm mind always leads, while the impulsive heart follows chaos. People who master self-control naturally earn trust, because others know they can be relied upon to act with reason and restraint. They don't explode under pressure. They handle situations with poise and confidence. Silence also carries authority. When you do not reveal everything you think or feel, you maintain mystery and influence. People start to wonder what gives you such peace, such balance. They lean in when you finally speak, because your words are rare and thoughtful. The quiet person is often the most observant, and observation brings understanding. The more you understand, the more you control outcomes. Learning to be silent and self-controlled does not make you passive, it makes you powerful. It teaches you that reaction is cheap, but response is valuable. Every moment you remain composed, you strengthen your inner leadership. You become a person of discipline and discernment, someone who cannot be easily manipulated or provoked. And when you walk in that kind of peace, people begin to treat you differently. They see not just a person, but a presence, calm, strong, and wise. That is the silent force that transforms perception and makes people never see you the same again. Becoming a standard means living in such a way that your actions, words, and integrity set the example for others to follow. It is when your life speaks louder than your opinions, and your consistency defines your reputation. Most people live by imitation. They copy trends, mimic others, and move wherever the crowd flows. But those who become standards lead by principle, not popularity. They don't need to shout to be heard. Their discipline and excellence do the speaking. Becoming a standard is about embodying values so clearly that your presence alone challenges mediocrity around you. You don't have to tell people to respect you. They do it naturally because they see that you live by a higher code. When you decide to live as a standard, you automatically separate yourself from the ordinary. You stop negotiating your integrity for convenience. You stop lowering your principles just to fit in. Instead, you stand firm in truth, even if you stand alone. That kind of strength intimidates some but inspires many. People may question your motives at first, but over time, they will recognize the purity of your consistency. You become known not for what you say, but for what you do. For the reliability, excellence, and honor that follow your name. And once people begin to associate your name with quality, trust, and purpose, they will never see you the same again. Becoming a standard also means being willing to uphold your values when others abandon theirs. It's about maintaining integrity when shortcuts look tempting, about choosing principle over pressure. True greatness is not proven in public applause, but in private discipline. It's the choices you make when no one is watching that define whether you're merely talking about success or living it. When you hold yourself accountable to excellence in your work, in your relationships, in your character, you set a bar that others naturally measure themselves against. You show them what responsibility, respect, and resilience look like in real life. People follow standards because they crave stability. In a world full of inconsistency, your steadfastness becomes a light. The way you handle adversity, the way you keep promises, the way you treat others, all these things shape how people perceive you. Becoming a standard is not about being perfect. It's about being reliable, authentic, and principled. When others fall into excuses, you stay committed to effort. When they give up, you persist, and slowly, you become a living example of what discipline and integrity can achieve. The reward of being a standard is influence, not forced influence, but earned influence. People begin to trust your judgment, value your opinion, and seek your guidance. You become a reference point for excellence, a mirror that reflects what is possible when purpose meets character. And when that happens, you no longer chase respect. You embody it. That's when the world looks at you differently, not as one among many, but as the measure others strive to reach.